Our full attendance makes the job much easier. Otherwise, I need to drop an email to whoever is absent. If you guys see absence from the system, you guys might be in trouble. So that's the part I like. Okay, so if you check the e-course, the syllabus is there, right? Before the class, I just upload the chapter 1 slides, chapter 2 slides there. Okay, so we'll briefly talk about it. Because we have so many new students, some older students who might see me sometimes in the third floor. For me, you see, my last name is very simple, E-L-I, okay? And the first name starts with X. So it's a Xiangfang. It's kind of hard to pronounce. So that's basic. You can make myself easier. Just call Lindsay Park. Okay. So I'm currently an associate professor. Originally I come from China. So yeah, I have a bachelor, my first master back in China, and then another master and a PhD from Rutgers University. Long time ago. So here I am. And so that's the brief intro part. And for this course, computer network and top-down approach would be the textbook. Okay, that would work. It should be the same. As long as it's an 8th edition. Makes sense? The author is James Kouros. The first author, James Kouros. So everything's in the syllabus. So you can find the syllabus on this course. So the reason I'm already logged into the e-course. For the e-course, if I check the people part, okay, you can get all the we currently have the e-syllabus, right? So also attach the PDF version. Yeah, also attach the PDF version, the e-syllabus here too. The course syllabus here. And chapter 1 slides from the book also attached there. So also we have for this book is coming out in 2020 during the COVID time. The author wants to make everybody's life easier because at the time we have to use Zoom, right? Then the author, the James Kouros, take his time set up one set of the YouTube videos there. So in that case, I put the videos links on the e-course. My hope is today I will play some of the videos because this is directly from the author. So it will be closely related with the book. I put the links there. Basically, you yourself can also find the link very easily. My hope is today I will play with those links today. My hope is if you have any questions, if you watch it again, you have the links right there, right? If you search the name, the author's name, you can find links there. If majority of the class watch the video, then they can use the flip classroom session concept. We can just come here, like Q&A. If you have some questions, we can just explain some of kind of the hard point for you guys. Make sense? If everybody, that's my hope. If everybody watch the video before the class, we can do that way. Basically, because for the computer networks, we have so much material there. Okay, that's my hope. Let's see. That's why already if you check the e-course, if you check the e-course, see syllabus there, chapter 1 is the slides there from the book, not my slides. Sometimes for my slides I'll add a little bit of something there. This is that's the author's slides, okay? And for my slides, typically I will not give posts. I just sometimes just want to make the presentation a little bit easier, put something to remind myself, okay? But the author slides is there. For the video, section 1.1 and 1.2, the author's review is there. Make sense? So go back home, try to get the book. At the same time, you can watch because that the video is directly from the author. We can make sure it is correct. Sometimes if we just use the YouTube video, we have to check the credibility from the author. Sometimes it's very convenient, right? In many cases, I think if we want to learn something, YouTube is one of the valuable resources, right? But in many cases, we cannot guarantee 100% the material is correct. In this case, because those videos directly from the author himself, make it very easy to accept. Okay, that's basically. If I put there later on, you can find all the related videos from. Make sense, guys? Okay, if you guys like majority, if I check, we have so far we have how many? 50 students, right? 14, 13 students all watch. I will directly ask questions, not watch it again, just to say how. This way we can move a little bit, faster. Because for this course, the problem is so much to cover. Typically, we cannot cover what we expected. Make sense? If everybody watched beforehand, we make move a little bit faster. That's the whole. Okay, that's it. And the book lifestyle is edition. That's the thing I want to emphasize. Okay, computer network and top-down approach. Okay, the author. If you check the video is from this very first author. Okay. ACT. This one. If you saw the second one, that's 7th edition. 8th and the 7th still quite some changes there. Okay. My point is, you might, if you check the Amazon, you might see this one. I think it should be the same. The cover eyes. Okay. 8th edition. For the look a little bit different. This one seems like $50 each, right?
This one, I think I bought it close to $100. I was last semester. I thought that was it.
Yeah, last time I checked is $49 around there. Okay.
$17.
Yeah. And regarding to the grading wise, okay, quickly mention because you guys will care about those. Attendance is really, really important. I will put the attendance in the quizzes. So every class, we will have a couple of quizzes every class, okay? The attendance and the quizzes together. So basically, when you are here, the quizzes part, I don't care whether it's right or wrong. As long as you are here, do the quizzes. That's the first time. The first time you have the learning opportunity, make sense? If you are full attendance every time you are here on time, the 20% is yours, okay? If you are here, you have to do the quizzes, make sense? If you miss, you missed. We will have plenty of quizzes. Quizzes is like sometimes we watch the video, we think we know everything, right? Then if I ask you questions, that might not be the case. So we will have all kinds of cases just to check it. If you guys have problems, just give me, okay, see, I see. That's basically something you might have trouble with. So or some, it's not that clear. I will explain a little bit more. Okay, that's we have plenty of quizzes throughout this course. Then homework. After each chapter, typically I will have one homework associated, just as a push you to read, think it again, especially some kind of key point. Makes sense? Okay. Then we have although we lost our Monday is even without the bad weather. The Monday is a holiday, student holiday, no class for the last week. Monday to Thursday holiday. Okay. So for this course, the time is always an issue. So I still try our best to have our midterm. Okay. Hey, sometimes the time is kind of limited, but I don't have the midterm. When I see the final exams, sometimes I'm not that happy. So in that case, I think midterm is still necessary. Makes sense. So you have midterm, have to push you to keep learning, to summarize, to get the knowledge organized. Right? So the exam one is kind of like the midterm, then you have the final. Then the last couple of weeks we will use in that cover whatever is the new topic, we have the project. Okay. Like today, guys, what's today's AI word? What's the news today? So my point here is I'm teaching this course for many years, and the project topic is never the same. So for the project, we will see related information network, whatever is new, the papers or topics would be the project. For the deep six, it's kind of shaped the AI word of the day, right? Even the media and all those kind of feel the pressure, right? Yeah. So our project was, if we don't have enough time to cover lots of the new topics, I will use in the project to ask you guys to lead and learn the topic and present here. Okay? That's for the project part. And the rest part of the syllabus, the agenda is kind of tentative, right? If the class is pretty good, we can move faster. That would be better. Okay? So any questions before we move on? Or regarding to the syllabus, regarding to the basic requirement for this course? You guys good? Let's move on. My office is a third floor, 336, okay? And if you have questions, sometimes not in my office, drop me an email, okay? Because we have a Zoom now. If it's needed, we just have a quick Zoom session. It's also work, okay? Remember, this is an older one. I want you to get the newer one, okay? Remember, required is the 8th edition, not the 7th edition. I think the 7th edition you can get the free PDF online easily. But plenty of the materials still change from the 7th to the 8th. This is the 8th edition. This is like a similar thing, only the different cover page. Like I will quickly pass it. That's what's changed from 8th to 7th. I will not spend time to talk about it. Just plenty change there. Okay. Just save a little bit time. Okay. The book, I'm not clicking. It's from Pearson. You guys can do your own search from Amazon here to get the book information. Okay. So for this one, the chapter 1 is mainly talk about basic introduction. And from this book, computer networking, right? Then the second title is a top-down approach. The reason why it's called a top-down approach, any thoughts, any comments here? If you check Amazon, you will see if you want to learn computer networks, this book is a popular one. Okay? And also one of the special one is because it's kind of a top-down approach. So when we talk about the computer networks, right, you guys all know the protocols, right? The computer protocol, TCP/IP, protocol speed, right? Then we have the different network layers, right? Make sense, guys? So which layer do you have? Do you know? How many layers?
7 layers.
7 layers? Yeah. So the 7 layer would be anybody. Go ahead. Anybody. Remember, we only have 15 students, right? Yeah, only have 15 students, right? For the 7 layers, because this is a grad course. You guys should have learned similar material in the undergrad course, right? This is the answer I don't like to hear. The other rest answer, I'm okay. For the computer networks, when we talk about the computer networks, one of the important things is all kinds of protocols, right? Then each protocol is associated with different layers. So for layers, anybody in your mind, what kind of layers currently in your mind?
Network, physical layer.
Physical layer.
Network layer.
Network layer.
Application layer.
Application layer.
Session layer.
Session layer.
Network layer.
Network layer.
Presentation layer. Data link. Presentation layer.
Okay. The answer sometimes I will preach it in order, right? So the top would be application layer. Then you mentioned the session and presentation layer, right? Then below those should be transport layer.
Transport layer.
Then network layer. Then data link layer. Then physical layer. Make sense? If we talk about 7 layers, that's the 7 layers. So the bottom is physical layer. Top is application layer, right? Then typically the session and presentation layer are not that popular. Make sense? Because currently when we mention computer networks, typically TCP, IP is a popular protocol. Make sense? In that case, if we talk about the TCP/IP network protocol suite, typically we only have 5 layers. Application layer, okay, transport layer, then network layer, data link layer, and the physical layer. That's 5 layers. Make sense? Okay. So, because computer networks, when we think about computer network, of course it's important, right? But it is also a complicated task. That's why we need to separate the task into different layers. Each layer will handle different subtasks. Make sense? So sometimes when you think about the, like we're using different cable, like a wired or wireless to link the network that belongs to the physical layer. Make sense? If you want to sometimes see, I want to do some kind of shopping, right? I check my emails. Those are different applications, right? Make sense? So many things, if you talk about applications, more closely related to application. How to connect the network is mainly related to physical layer, data link layer, right? Of course, we need a network layer to route into everything, okay? So we have, firstly, we have layers, right? And typically in this class, we will follow in the 5-layer approach. Application layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and the physical layer. Make sense? Okay. Then the reason, the question I ask you guys, for this book, the second title is called what? Top-down approach, right? So for typical computer networks, they typically start with a physical layer, then move up to the data link, right? Then network, then transport, so on and so forth. But for this book, the special thing is they want to start with your everyday life. They want to close to your network applications. That's why the very first, they start with an application layer, then move down. Got it? They just, because typically as a user, we use computer network all the time. They want to start with application layers, then move down. That's why this book is a top-down approach. Just want you guys to see. That's why Chapter 2, we will talk about the application layer. Chapter 3 would be transport layer, right? Chapter 4 and 5 together is your network layer from different perspectives, data plane and control plane, okay? Then data link, then physical. Got it? Okay. This is the first thing to talk about for this book's architecture, okay? Then guys, for chapter 1, we will get the basic, big picture, some kind of terminology regarding to networks, right? And like this, we will use, because internet is really, really popular and really, really important. So many of the examples related to internet. And then think about the question ask you guys, like, what is internet?
Connecting computers to several networks.
Of course, connect the computer to
several networks. different types of network.
Yeah, so the keyword is connect the computer to what kind of network. So basically, what is internet? Computer have to link to the network, right? Then we have all kinds of different networks, right? Right? If you think about it, if you only have a local area network, it's also a network, right? Makes sense? So the question is, what is the network? That's the question. What is the internet? Of course, computer need to connect to the network, but the key word is, what's the characteristic for the internet? Makes sense? That's the thing. So think about this. What is internet, right? Then also, when we learn computer networks, we need to learn all kinds of protocols, right? Then like I mentioned, mainly the 5 layers is the popular one because session and the presentation is not that popular, right? Then think about why we call the TCP and IP. Because that's the practical network speed currently is running in the internet, right? Then what is TCP? What is IP? Anybody? That's all the different network protocols, right? And the TCP is one of the major network protocol for which layer? Transport layer. Make sense? For the transport layer, we have what? TCP and UDP, right? And TCP and UDP, they have different characteristics. Then when we talk about the network layer, the major protocol will be IP, right? Make sense? So transport and network is one of the 2 key layers. That's why we're using 2 very important network protocols to represent those TCP IP, those protocol speed. Make sense? Like for example, you guys, many of you bring your own computer, right? How does your computer connect to the internet in your specific case? How do your computer currently connect to the internet?
It has an IP of the computer and
Wi-Fi, right?
Yes, Wi-Fi, yeah.
Specifically Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about the Wi-Fi, then ask you what is the corresponding network, computer networks. In that case, basically, of course, you have different network applications, right? But currently, we consider how do you connect to the internet, right? Using the Wi-Fi part. Wi-Fi is using what? 802.11, right? 802.11. Make sense? You connect to the internet. That's the network protocol. And that protocol belongs to what? Data link layer. Lower layer, right? Because you need to connect to the network first. Make sense? Later on, when you connect to network, you have all kinds of issues. That's why above the data link, physical layer, data link layer, then we have which layer is above the data link layer? Network layer. Network layer, the key protocol is what? IP, right? Then when I think about it, guys, just today is a brief introduction, get you guys into this concept. Make sense? For the IP part, you guys heard about the IP what? Version 4, heard about? Version 6, right? That's some details regarding to the IP protocol, right? Then why do we need version 6? Talk about the IP version 4. You mentioned I have some, IP address, right?
So it's limited because of the amount of addresses, from what I know.
Yes, IP version 4. You guys know, you connect the internet, right? You perform a command like IP config, right? You can see what's your current IP address you're having. Make sense? You will see the IP version 4 address. Typically, you can also see the IP version 6 address, right? Definitely, you can see the IP version 4 address, right? Typically, it's like 192.168.something, right?
Yes.
You guys, right? You saw that, right? Those are what you need to clarify. What's that? That's IP version 4 address. Make sense? That belongs to what? Network layer concept. Make sense, right? Just to think about that. You guys use that all the time. Just in this class, you need to streamline those kind of concepts. Make sense? Okay. And later, lots of stuff. Think that's what is protocol. You know what is protocol, right? We have different layers. Then each layer will have is a protocol, right? all kinds of different protocol, right? Like we mentioned, TCP is a network protocol, belongs to transport layer. IP version 4 is a protocol, makes sense? Network layer, right? Then if you talk about like 802.11, that's a daily how to connect. It's also a protocol, makes sense? That's all kind of network protocol. Different layers, we have a different network protocol. So when we learn network, we have to what? Learn all kinds of different network protocols, makes sense, right? In the application layer, like you guys are maybe check the course, right? You can check it later. If you check your email, if you're doing some web searching, right? What kind of network protocol you are using? HTTP, right? Right? So think about that protocol belongs to what? Application layer, right? If you are doing some kind of check your email, you also have an email related protocol. Makes sense? Yeah. Right. We have plenty. That's basically, remember, when you learn networks, you need to learn all kinds of protocols. Okay? That's the thing. Then talk about the network, right? It's a huge topic. So then you might heard about what is network edge, network core. Think about those. Then those are from the structure wise, right? Network include which part, right? Then when we have the network, sometimes assume you're currently you sit in this classroom, right? Then you're using the Wi-Fi connect to the network, right? Then you can do everything, pretty much everything, right? Right?
Yes.
You can watch some kind of YouTube videos. You can, right?
Yes.
You can check the news in a pretty decent time, right? If you are basically ski in some places, then you're using your phone to access the network, right? Then what you can do might be limited. Depends on, of course, your wireless carrier, right? Depends where you are. So in that case, when we learn the network, we also sometimes care about performance-wise. Makes sense? Depends on different technology. The related performance also will be different. Makes sense? Then security, history, so on and so forth. That's basically chapter 1, introduction part. Okay. So the very first one is like I asked you guys, what is internet, right? How about I will ask the author to explain this to you guys. Okay, that's the author's video coming up. And after section 1.1 and 1.2, you will have your very first quiz. After section 1.3 and 1.4, you'll have your second. Basically, the point is, when you watch video, you're pretty happy, right? You need to focus, actually learn the topics. Make sense?
Applying for residency right now. Wish me luck. Grammarly has again been a lifesaver with my application. Well, welcome. This is where it all begins. Section 1, Chapter 1. And in this first video, I'd like to do basically 3 things. First, I'd like to give you a broad brush overview of what we're going to be covering in this introductory material. And hopefully you've already seen the video about the course as a whole. Secondly, we're then going to just dive right in. We're going to ask ourselves 2 questions. What is the internet and what is a protocol? Well, let's jump right in and let's get started. And let's first talk about what's the goal of looking at this introductory material. And really, there are 2 goals here. First is to give you a broad brush view of computer networking so that you can see the big picture. And secondly, we'll be introducing a lot of vocabulary. Now, I can absolutely promise you everything we're going to be covering here in this introductory overview is something you're going to see in a lot more detail. So you can just sit back here, relax, look for the big picture view. We'll come back to this material again. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this introduction. Here's what we're going to cover in this introduction and overview, which corresponds to Chapter 1 in our textbook. We'll start with where we are here with an introduction and asking ourselves two questions. What is the internet and what is a protocol? And that'll get us started. Then we're going to dive down into more detail. We're going to start at the network edge. We're going to look at the hosts, at the access network, and the physical media that make up the internet in more detail. We're then going to dive down into what we might call the network core. We'll talk about two technologies used to build networks: circuit switching, which is what the telephone network is traditionally used, and packet switching, which is the technological basis for the internet. We'll talk about packets, routers, and switches within a packet switch network, and we'll talk about network structure. In particular, we'll see what we mean when we say that the internet is really a network of networks. We'll also talk about network performance and see how packets can be lost or delayed while being forwarded from source to destination. And we'll talk about throughput as a performance metric, the rate at which bits can be forwarded from source to destination. We'll spend some time talking about protocol layers, which is a way to decompose and structure our discussion of an incredibly complex system like the internet into more manageably sized pieces for our discussion. And we'll talk about the service model provided by a network. We'll spend just a